Welcome to World Information HD, the place where history meets hidden treasure. In today's video, we reveal the top 10 most valuable and rare USA Lincoln pennies and Washington quarter-dollar coins that have shocked collectors and sold for millions. Stay tuned, because one of these coins might just be hiding in your pocket change. Today we are diving deep into one of the fascinating treasures of American numismatic history, the 1978 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, this coin looks like an ordinary penny. Many people have spent it without a second thought. You may have one lying in a drawer, hiding in a coin jar, or tucked away inside an old wallet that hasn't been touched in years. But what if I told you that this simple penny could be worth far more than a single cent? And in fact, some collectors have paid thousands of dollars to acquire the finest examples. That's right. Sometimes the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. Let us step back into history for a moment. The year was 1978. The United States was undergoing cultural shifts, with disco music blasting from radios, the first Garfield comic strip appearing in newspapers, and the nation preparing to celebrate its upcoming bicentennial of independence just a few years down the line. Economically, inflation was still a concern, and prices of daily goods were climbing. During this time, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies, each bearing the small but significant D-Mint mark under the year on the obverse. This Lincoln cent, part of the long-running series first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was composed primarily of copper in 1978. That was one of the final chapters of an era because by 1982, the composition would be changed to copper-plated zinc due to rising copper prices. So, the 1978 D-penny is one of the last generations of mostly copper coins, weighing 3.11 grams. That fact alone makes it historically important. The obverse side of the coin features the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, can be seen at the base of Lincoln's shoulder on later designs, but on the 1978 D-penny, they are not present on the obverse, as they had long been relocated to the reverse. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while to his right the word, "Liberty," reminds us of the nation's foundational ideals. Beneath the date, 1978, rests the letter D, the tiny mark that indicates the Denver Mint struck the coin. Turning to the reverse side, you find the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to replace the wheat stalks of the earlier cent. This design by Frank Gasparo shows the grand marble structure with Lincoln's statue faintly visible within if you look closely. The inscriptions, "United States of America," and "E Pluribus Unum," arch above, while 1 cent is boldly displayed below. Though it is a common design, each small detail tells a piece of America's story, from the president who preserved the Union to the ideals of unity symbolized in the Latin phrase. But why should anyone care about a penny minted in 1978 at Denver when so many were made? Here lies the mystery and the thrill of coin collecting. While millions rolled off the minting presses, not every coin was struck equally. Some were produced with sharper detail, flawless surfaces, and brilliant luster that has survived decades without a single fingerprint or scratch. These are known as high-grade examples, and they are highly prized by collectors. The condition of a coin is measured by a grading scale that ranges from well-worn, good, all the way to pristine, mint state. When a 1978 D Lincoln penny survives in mint state 67 or 68, it becomes an extraordinary rarity. At that level, it is no longer just change, it is a jewel of numismatics. The red coloration, known as RD, in coin grading, adds even more value. Copper coins often darken or tone over the years, turning brown or red-brown. But those few coins that keep their blazing red brilliance are the ones that stand out the most. Beyond condition, there are errors and varieties that make this penny even more intriguing. Imagine a penny struck slightly off-center, with part of the design missing, or a double die where parts of the text appear to have shadows or doubling. These mistakes from the minting process are highly collectible because they are rare and accidental, like nature's own quirks in the world of coins. A collector who discovers such a penny might be holding a small fortune without even realizing it, Even within regular strikes, the Denver Mint has a reputation among collectors. Coins from Denver often carry sharper details than their Philadelphia counterparts of the same year. This makes Denver issues particularly appealing to those searching for the highest grades. And since millions were circulated, most examples today are heavily worn. To find one in superb uncirculated condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Let us also not forget the personal connection people have with coins. A 1978 penny may have been used to buy candy at a corner store, slipped into a payphone to call home, or dropped into a child's piggy bank. For older generations, these pennies carry memories of a time when the world felt different, when gas was cheaper, and when the weight of a copper cent felt more substantial in the palm. Collectors don't just value the coin itself, they value the history and human connection it represents. Today, the numismatic market is thriving. Online auctions, coin shows, and grading services have brought collectors from around the world together, creating an exciting environment where rare coins are hotly contested. A perfect 1978 D penny, gleaming in red with immaculate details, can trigger fierce bidding wars. Collectors know just how tough it is to find one that flawless, and they are willing to pay generously. So if you are curious about your own coins, you might want to take a second look at any 1978 D pennies you have. Hold them under a bright light. Check the surfaces for scratches or marks. Look at the edges for crispness. Does it still shine red like the day it was minted? Could there be an unusual doubling in the date or lettering? Every tiny detail matters, and sometimes what looks ordinary at first can turn out to be extraordinary. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation for more than a century, and during that time, it has gone through several design changes and countless mintages. Yet, each year tells its own story. The 1978 D is part of a bridge between eras, between the classic copper coins of the early 20th century and the copper-plated zinc pennies that dominate today. That transition gives it a special place in the history of American coinage. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents know that the series is rich with opportunities. From the key dates like 1909 SVDB and 1914 D to the modern eras and high-grade rarities, every collector can find something to pursue. The 1978 D penny may not seem like a key date at first glance, but in top condition, it competes with the best. And the thrill of the hunt keeps people searching through rolls of pennies, day after day, hoping to uncover one more hidden gem. Coins are like time machines. They carry us back to the year they were made, reminding us of the people, the politics, the culture, and the history of that moment. Holding a 1978 penny can take you back to the era of cassette tapes, Star Wars fever, and the Carter presidency. In a way, it connects us to those who lived before, sharing the same small pieces of metal that passed through their hands. And this is where rarity and value come together. While most 1978 D pennies will only ever be worth 1 cent, a select few have reached breathtaking heights at auction. Collectors have paid sums that ordinary people could hardly imagine for what looks like a simple copper coin. Why? Because it represents perfection, rarity, and history combined into one. Now here comes the part you've been waiting for. The record value of the 1978 D Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached as high as $45,297. The world of rare and valuable coins is a fascinating journey into American history, artistry, and hidden treasures that sometimes slip through ordinary hands without anyone realizing it. Among the many remarkable coins that collectors and enthusiasts seek, the 1980 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter stands out as a coin that on the surface seems ordinary, yet hides extraordinary stories of worth and intrigue. When we talk about coins, we often imagine something small, metallic, and common, something we use every day without paying much attention. But sometimes, in the ordinary circulation of commerce, certain coins carry mysteries, rare qualities, or errors that turn them from simple change into highly sought-after collectibles worth staggering amounts of money. The 1980 P Washington quarter is one of those coins that has sparked deep interest in the numismatic community, and today we will take a long, detailed journey into its origins, design, rarity, and the reasons behind its incredible value. Let us begin with the foundation of this remarkable coin, the Washington quarter itself. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, the $quarter featuring Washington's portrait replaced the standing Liberty quarter. John Flanagan, a sculptor and engraver, was chosen to design the new coin. His depiction of George Washington's bust on the obverse side became an enduring symbol of American coinage. While it was initially intended as a commemorative issue, the Washington quarter became so popular that it entered permanent production and has remained a cornerstone of U.S. coinage for nearly a century. By 1980, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for almost 50 years, but the design still carried the essence of stability and tradition. The obverse side of the coin features George Washington facing left, his stern but noble profile emphasizing his role as the father of the nation. Above his head rests the word Liberty, while the motto, "In God We Trust," is inscribed just to the left. Beneath Washington's neck you can find the mint mark, which in this case is the letter P, denoting that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It's worth noting that Philadelphia did not traditionally place mint marks on coins until 1980, which makes the presence of the P significant in this series. On the reverse side of the coin, Flanagan design continues with a bold heraldic eagle perched upon a bundle of arrows, symbolic of strength and defense, with two olive branches below representing peace. Surrounding the image are the inscriptions, United States of America, and E Pluribus Unum, with the denomination, $quarter, displayed at the bottom. This iconic imagery was etched into American coinage for decades, serving as a reminder of both power and peace. What makes the 1980 Washington quarter so fascinating to collectors, however, is not merely its design but rather its unique position in numismatic history. The year 1980 marked the first time that the Philadelphia Mint began to place the P mint mark on coins such as the quarter. Prior to this year, quarters from Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all, making the P an important marker in the evolution of U.S. coinage. For collectors, firsts are always significant. The debut of the P mint mark on a quarter places the 1980 issue in a category that garners special attention. But beyond this historical milestone, what really captures the imagination of coin collectors are the rare conditions, varieties, and minting errors that elevate a coin from being simply collectible to being highly valuable. The 1980 Washington quarter is no exception. While millions of these coins were struck and released into circulation, only a very small fraction survive in pristine, uncirculated condition, and even fewer have unique qualities or errors that make them treasures in the eyes of collectors. For instance, collectors prize coins that have been graded at the highest levels by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Coins that are graded mint state 67, 68, or higher are incredibly rare for this issue, and their sharp detail, strong luster, and lack of blemishes place them in a league of their own. Finding a 1980 quarter in such remarkable condition is like discovering a perfectly preserved relic from the past, untouched by the wear and tear of circulation. Another reason the 1980 quarter attracts so much attention is the potential for minting errors. Mint errors can occur in a variety of ways: off-center strikes, double dies, planchet flaws, or misaligned dies, and each error creates a unique specimen that collectors will pay a premium to own. Imagine finding a 1980 quarter where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, or one where the lettering is double due to a misstrike. Such coins transform from ordinary pocket change into museum-worthy rarities. Moreover, the metallic composition of the 1980 Washington quarter also adds to its significance. By 1980, the U.S. Mint had long since abandoned the use of silver in quarters, switching instead to a clad composition of copper and nickel. While this made quarters more affordable to produce for mass circulation, it also meant that the artistry of the coin was often obscured by rapid wear. Thus, locating a 1980 quarter in brilliant, original condition is a challenge that excites serious numismatists. The fascination with coins like this also lies in their connection to American history. Every coin is a miniature time capsule, carrying with it the spirit of the year it was minted. In 1980, the United States was experiencing a transformative period. It was the dawn of a new decade, with the echoes of the 1970s still lingering. The economy faced challenges, inflation was on the minds of citizens, and Ronald Reagan was preparing to step into the political spotlight as a candidate for president. Against this backdrop, the Philadelphia Mint struck the 1980p Washington quarter, a coin that would circulate in the hands of millions, quietly bearing witness to the events and everyday lives of Americans. But of course, not every coin minted in 1980 has gone on to achieve legendary status. The vast majority of these quarters served their purpose as everyday change and eventually wore down from use. What separates the valuable ones from the ordinary is rarity, condition, and uniqueness. Collectors are drawn to those select few quarters that have somehow survived the decades in immaculate shape or possess quirks that make them one of a kind. Consider for a moment the thrill of discovery. Many people across the United States today might unknowingly have a 1980p Washington quarter tucked away in a jar of spare change, sitting forgotten in a drawer, or hidden in an old collection inherited from a family member. To the untrained eye, it might look like nothing more than an average coin. But to a knowledgeable collector, spotting that flawless shine, that sharp strike, or that rare error could mean uncovering a treasure worth thousands. This is why coin collecting has captivated so many people. It is not just about the monetary value, it is about the hunt, the history, and the connection to something larger than ourselves. Holding a rare 1980p Washington quarter is like holding a piece of America's story in your hand, a symbol of the past that continues to shine in the present. As time goes on, coins like the 1980p quarter will only become more scarce in high grades. Circulation continues to erode the surviving population, and collectors will lock away the best examples in private collections, ensuring that their rarity and value grow with each passing year. For those who take the time to learn, search, and preserve, the rewards can be extraordinary. So the next time you come across a Washington quarter from 1980 with a P mint mark, take a closer look. Examine its condition, check for unusual features, and consider the possibility that you may be holding a piece of numismatic history that carries far more worth than its face value. What seems like just 25 cents could, in the right circumstances, transform into something truly astonishing. And speaking of astonishing, the pinnacle of this story lies in the highest recorded value of a pristine 1980p Washington quarter dollar. While most examples will be worth only their face value or a few dollars to collectors, one exceptional specimen in flawless condition achieved an extraordinary price. In the world of coin auctions, where rarity, history, and condition converge, this single coin reached a value of $46,566. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where history, rarity, and hidden treasures of coins come alive. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins of American history, the 1982 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, this quarter might look like any other change that has passed through your hands hundreds of times before, but as you are about to discover, certain details make this coin one of the most intriguing in the world of collectors. From its background, historical significance, special varieties, errors, and the reasons why collectors are willing to pay big money for it, this is a story that will keep you hooked until the very end. To understand why the 1982 quarter is so important, we need to step back in time. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, designed by John Flanagan to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. What was supposed to be a one-year commemorative coin ended up becoming a permanent fixture in circulation. Over the decades, the Washington quarter became an American staple. But in 1982, the U.S. Mint made some important changes that created unique situations for collectors today. One of the biggest stories of 1982 in the coin world was that the United States Mint stopped producing mint sets for collectors. Normally, these mint sets preserved coins in brilliant condition and made it easy for collectors to save examples of coins from each mint. Without the official mint sets that year, many coins were only available through circulation. This meant that higher quality 1982 quarters became much harder to find, and survival in uncirculated condition was surprisingly rare. That is one of the reasons why collectors today place special value on quarters from 1982, particularly those struck at the Denver Mint with the D Mint mark. The Denver Mint, which produced the 1982 D Washington quarter, has long been one of the most important facilities for U.S. coinage. Located in Denver, Colorado, this mint began producing coins in 1906 and has remained one of the nation's most productive facilities. The D mint mark is a small detail on the coin, but it carries a big story. While millions of 1982 quarters were struck there, the absence of mint sets and the unique conditions of the year mean that gem-quality coins are scarce today. But that's not the only thing that makes the 1982 D quarter so special. This was also a year of transition for the U.S. Mint. Since 1965, quarters had been made of a copper-nickel clad composition instead of silver. But in the early 1980s, there was growing demand for coins, and the Mint faced production challenges. This led to variations in strikes, planchets, and die states. Some 1982 D quarters display weak strikes, doubled dies, or other unusual characteristics that catch the eyes of collectors. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1982 D quarter is the variety of errors that can be found. Collectors love error coins because they tell a story about how coins are made and how mistakes can become valuable treasures. For example, some 1982 D quarters have been discovered with off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank was not properly aligned in the press. Others show die cracks, where breaks in the coin die created raised lines or extra metal on the coin. There are even examples with missing clad layers, revealing the copper core underneath. Each of these errors adds to the coin's desirability and can increase its value far beyond its face value of just 25 cents. Another reason why the 1982 D quarter stands out is its connection to one of the most famous modern varieties, the no-P Washington quarters. In 1982, for the first time in over a decade, the Mint forgot to include the mint mark on certain quarters struck at Philadelphia. While those no-P coins come from Philadelphia, collectors quickly became fascinated with all 1982 quarters, including those from Denver, because they were part of this unusual chapter in minting history. It was a reminder that even in modern times, mistakes and rarity could still be born from the U.S. Mint's presses. Now, let's talk about the design of the coin itself. On the obverse, or front, you will see the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His strong profile faces left, with the word Liberty above his head and the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left. Below Washington's neck is the date, 1982, and to the right of it the D mint mark that signifies the Denver Mint. On the reverse, you'll find the striking image of a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing America's strength and readiness to defend itself. Beneath the eagle are two olive branches, a sign of peace. Around the coin's border are the inscriptions, "United States of America," and $quarter, reminding us that this small piece of metal carries the weight of a nation's history. For everyday Americans in 1982, this quarter was just pocket change. People used it to buy a newspaper, grab a cup of coffee, or make a phone call at a payphone. But for coin collectors today, finding one of these in pristine condition is like striking gold. The passage of time, circulation wear, and the lack of mint sets have made well-preserved 1982 D quarters extremely rare. Collectors prize coins that have been graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. These grading companies assess the coin's condition on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin with no marks or flaws. Most 1982 D quarters that turn up today are heavily circulated, often showing scratches, dings, and fading details from years of use. But when a coin survives in uncirculated condition, especially in grades of MS65 and higher, it becomes a true collector's treasure. Imagine holding a gleaming 1982 D quarter that looks like it just left the mint. Every detail of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers is sharp and bold. The surfaces shine with original mint luster, untouched by decades of circulation. Such coins are not just pieces of money, but time capsules, carrying the artistry and history of the early 1980s into the present day. The demand for the 1982 D quarter has only grown over the years as more collectors seek to build complete Washington quarter sets. Every collector who wants a full collection from 1932 to the present must include the 1982 D, and finding a high-grade example can be surprisingly challenging. This competition drives up values, especially for coins that stand out with exceptional quality. It's also worth mentioning that coins like the 1982 D quarter represent more than just metal and minting. They are cultural artifacts. They connect us to the everyday lives of Americans in the past. They remind us of the changes in technology, economics, and society. And for collectors, they become stories to share, stories about rarity, about discovery, and about the thrill of the hunt. Many coin collectors have stories of finding rare coins in unexpected places. Perhaps someone emptied an old jar of quarters saved for years, only to realize that one of them was a rare 1982 D in uncirculated condition. Or maybe a coin dealer spotted an unusual error in a bulk lot of quarters and realized it was something special. The journey from pocket change to prized possession is part of what makes numismatics such an exciting hobby. What makes the 1982 D Washington quarter truly valuable? It's the combination of factors: the lack of mint sets, the challenges of finding high-grade examples, the intriguing varieties and errors, and the strong demand from collectors who want to complete their sets. All of this means that when the right coin comes along, collectors are willing to pay far more than just 25 cents. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value. While most circulated 1982 D quarters are worth only a small premium above face value, rare examples in top condition can command impressive sums. In fact, one particularly stunning example of the 1982 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar sold for the incredible price of $34,665. The story of coins in the United States is more than just history pressed into metal. Each cent, dime, quarter, and dollar tells a tale of its time, of its people, and of the great nation that issued it. Among these pieces of currency, one coin stands out, quietly sitting in pocket change, waiting to be discovered by those who know its secret. That coin is the 1983 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, you may think of a penny as something insignificant, just a small piece of copper-colored change often left in jars, tossed into wishing wells, or forgotten at the bottom of purses and drawers. But when we look closer at the pennies minted in 1983, we uncover one of the most fascinating chapters in modern American numismatics. It is a story of change, both literal and figurative, of mistakes, mysteries, and value hidden in plain sight. Let's begin with the time itself, 1983. The United States was in the middle of the Reagan era. The economy was shifting, technology was advancing, and coins were undergoing their own transformation. For over a century, Lincoln had proudly occupied the obverse of the 1-cent coin, his image first introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of his birth. But by the 1980s, it wasn't Lincoln's portrait that was making headlines in the world of numismatics. It was what lay beneath it. In 1982, the United States Mint made a major decision that would affect every penny produced thereafter. For decades, pennies had been made primarily of copper. But copper was becoming too expensive, and producing a coin with more metal value than face value was not sustainable. So the mint changed the composition. From mid-1982 onward, pennies were no longer mostly copper. Instead, they were struck from zinc with a thin copper plating. This switch was historic, and it meant that the pennies of 1983 would be the first full year of the new composition. Collectors soon noticed that these zinc cents were different. They felt lighter, sounded different when dropped on a table, and were prone to corrosion and damage in ways copper never was. Yet, tucked among these 1983 pennies was something extraordinary: certain coins struck without a mint mark, holding mysteries and value that would one day astonish coin enthusiasts worldwide. To understand why the absence of a mint mark matters, we need to step back and understand what mint marks are. A mint mark is a small letter on a coin that tells us where it was produced. D stands for Denver, S for San Francisco, and in many cases, no mint mark meant Philadelphia. For decades, Philadelphia coins bore no identifying letter. But in 1983, something more subtle was going on. Not every coin struck without a mint mark was just an ordinary product of the Philadelphia Mint. There were errors, variations, and conditions that made some of these coins incredibly special. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1983 no-mint mark penny is tied to its production quality. Because 1983 marked the first full year of zinc pennies, errors occurred more frequently. Dies cracked more easily, plating sometimes bubbled, and planchets were inconsistent. Among the coins produced, sharp-eyed collectors began finding varieties that stood out. Doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's features or inscriptions appeared doubled, were reported. Off-center strikes added intrigue. And some no-mint mark pennies showed dramatic differences in weight, leading to speculation that a few copper planchets from the previous era may have slipped into production lines. Imagine being a collector in the 1980s, sifting through pocket change and suddenly spotting a penny that just didn't look right. Maybe the lettering of "In God We Trust" seemed doubled, or maybe the coin weighed more than expected. To most people, it was just a penny, but to the educated eye, it was a discovery worth celebrating. This sense of treasure hunting in everyday life is part of what makes numismatics so thrilling. As the years passed, collectors continued to pay close attention to the 1983 pennies. Books were written, price guides updated, and whispers of rare finds circulated at coin shows. It wasn't long before stories emerged of ordinary people who had unknowingly held a small fortune in the palm of their hand, all in the form of a penny many would overlook. The story deepens when we explore the broader role of the Lincoln cent. By 1983, it had already become one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Generations had grown up seeing Lincoln's solemn profile, his gaze fixed forward, symbolizing both memory and progress. Yet within this familiar design, variations like the no-mint mark penny became rare gems for collectors. Each slight difference, a missing letter, a doubled detail, an unexpected weight, turned something mundane into something magical. Think for a moment about how many pennies pass through hands every day. Millions are minted each year, billions circulate, and most are never given a second glance. Yet, the 1983 no-mint mark penny proves that hidden within the ordinary lies the extraordinary. It teaches us that paying attention, being curious, and looking a little closer can reveal treasures in the most unexpected places. Coin collectors often talk about condition as a critical factor. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth thousands can come down to the smallest detail: the shine of its luster, the absence of scratches, the sharpness of its strike. In 1983, many pennies were used in everyday transactions, tossed into circulation where they were battered and worn. Finding one in pristine condition, with no mint mark and the right variety, is like stumbling upon a relic untouched by time. Auction houses and coin grading companies have played a huge role in elevating the status of these coins. Professional grading assigns each coin a condition score, from poor to mint state. Collectors eagerly submit their 1983 pennies for evaluation, hoping to learn if theirs is among the rare, valuable specimens. And when one of these coins appears at auction, it draws attention not just from collectors, but from investors, historians, and treasure seekers alike. It's worth pausing to reflect on the symbolism here. The penny is the smallest unit of American currency, often overlooked and undervalued. Yet, in its rarest forms, it can command astonishing sums. This is a reminder that value is not always about size or surface appearances. Just as with people in history, sometimes what seems small can hold the greatest worth. The allure of the 1983 no-mint mark penny is not just about money. It's about mystery, history, and the thrill of discovery. It connects everyday life with a much larger story of craftsmanship, change, and chance. And for those who collect coins, it is a testament to the importance of looking closely and appreciating details others ignore. Collectors today continue to search rolls of pennies from banks, scour flea markets, and sift through old jars of change, hoping to stumble upon one of these rarities. Each discovery story inspires more to join the hunt, fueling a passion that spans generations. Young collectors learning about coins for the first time hear about the 1983 penny and suddenly realize that history might be sitting right in their pocket. We can also think of this coin as a time capsule. Struck in the early 1980s, it carries the imprint of an America adjusting to economic shifts, technological innovations, and cultural change. It reflects the decision to save money by altering materials, a decision that forever marked the penny's identity. And through the quirks of production, it gave birth to a variety that has fascinated and rewarded collectors for decades. Now, after exploring the history, the design, the composition, and the mystery surrounding this fascinating piece of American currency, we arrive at the question every collector wants answered: what is it worth? For the rarest examples of the 1983 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, especially those found in exceptional condition or showing remarkable varieties, the value has reached astonishing levels at auctions and in private sales. Some of these coins have been carefully preserved, carrying all the qualities that make collectors' hearts race. And the highest recorded value for one of these remarkable pieces of American history is $23,488. The story of American coins is not only about money, but about history, artistry, and fascinating moments of chance that make certain coins far more valuable than others. Among the coins minted in the modern era, one that often surprises collectors with its story is the 1990 D mint mark Washington quarter dollar. On the surface, it seems like an ordinary coin, the type you could easily find in your pocket change back in the 1990s. Yet, for numismatists, coin hunters, and everyday people who happen to stumble upon an unusual example, this quarter can carry a story worth far more than its face value. To understand the importance of this coin, it helps to go back and look at the legacy of the Washington quarter itself. First introduced in 1932, the Washington quarter was designed to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. The coin's obverse, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, depicts a bold portrait of Washington facing left. The reverse originally showcased an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of America's strength and readiness to defend itself, balanced by an olive branch representing peace. By 1990, the Washington quarter had already been circulating for decades, and millions upon millions of examples had been struck at the U.S. Mint facilities across the country. Yet it is precisely within these huge production numbers that errors, variations, and rare minting quirks sometimes emerge, making specific coins stand out to collectors. The Denver Mint, known for its D mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1990. On paper, the 1990 D Washington quarter shouldn't be particularly rare. However, condition, mint errors, and unexpected variations have turned certain examples into treasures worth thousands of dollars. The Denver Mint in 1990 was under significant demand. Coins were needed to keep up with economic circulation, and the presses were running at an incredible pace. When minting occurs on such a massive scale, even the tiniest mistake can create a coin that collectors go wild for. From doubled dies to off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchets altogether, errors become the rare jewels hidden among millions of ordinary pieces. For the Washington quarter, these mistakes often create the difference between a common 25-cent piece and one worth life-changing amounts of money. One of the most fascinating parts of coin collecting is how chance plays such a role. Think about it. A quarter minted in Denver in 1990 may have ended up in someone's pocket to pay for a cup of coffee, or dropped into a vending machine, or lost between couch cushions. To most people, it's just 25 cents. But for the lucky individual who finds one in pristine condition or bearing an unusual minting flaw, that quarter transforms into a treasure of American numismatic history. Collectors prize the 1990 D Washington quarter particularly when it is found in high grades. The difference between a circulated coin, one that has spent years being exchanged from hand to hand, and a mint state coin, which looks nearly untouched since leaving the mint, is staggering. A circulated example might only fetch a modest premium, while a gem mint state coin with strong luster, sharp details, and minimal imperfections can command prices that far exceed imagination. The world of coin grading, handled by professional services like PCGS or NGC, becomes the stage where such coins achieve their recognition. But beyond the pristine examples, what excites the coin collecting community are those rare minting errors. Some 1990 D quarters have surfaced with doubled dies, where the design elements appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. Others have been struck off-center, creating a coin where part of the design spills off the edge, exposing blank areas of the planchet. Then there are wrong planchet errors, where the coin was mistakenly struck on a metal blank meant for another denomination, like a nickel or dime. These anomalies are exceedingly rare, but when they appear, they ignite bidding wars among collectors eager to own a piece of minting history. What makes the 1990 D quarter even more intriguing is its timing in American coinage history. By the 1990s, the U.S. Mint was preparing for a major transformation. Just a few years later, in 1999, the state quarters program would revolutionize the way Americans viewed their pocket change. Suddenly, quarters became collectibles in their own right, with millions of people saving each new design. But in 1990, the quarter was still in its classic form, carrying the same eagle reverse that had been a familiar sight since 1932. That places the 1990 D quarter in a kind of historical sweet spot, modern enough to be relatable, but classic enough to carry the traditional Washington quarter design that collectors cherish. Imagine being a coin hunter today and sifting through rolls of quarters from the bank, hoping to stumble upon a hidden rarity. Most rolls are filled with modern, circulated coins, but every so often, a gem reveals itself. The thrill of finding a 1990 D quarter in mint state condition, or better yet, with a dramatic minting error, is the kind of discovery that fuels the passion of numismatics. And thanks to online marketplaces and coin auctions, more people than ever before can witness the astonishing values these coins bring when they cross the auction block. One remarkable aspect of the coin market is how prices are driven not only by rarity, but also by collector demand. The Washington quarter has a dedicated following, and the 1990 D variety has earned its place among the pieces that command attention. Collectors love the story behind the coin, the connection to American history, and the possibility that the next coin they examine could be one of those rare, high-value examples. It's important to remember that not every 1990 D quarter is worth more than face value. In fact, the vast majority of them are still just worth 25 cents. But what keeps collectors and treasure hunters motivated is the knowledge that hidden among the ordinary are the extraordinary. And sometimes, when a coin surfaces in immaculate condition, with every detail of Washington's portrait perfectly sharp and the eagle's feathers crisply defined, its value leaps into another realm entirely. The coin's worth is also tied to the fascination people have with error coins in general. Human beings are naturally drawn to imperfections, especially when they occur in places where precision is expected. The U.S. Mint prides itself on producing flawless coins, so when a mistake happens, it creates a kind of anomaly that collectors cherish. For the 1990 D quarter, those anomalies have elevated certain pieces into legendary status, transforming a pocket change item into a prized collectible. Across the decades, stories have emerged of individuals who discovered rare coins without even realizing their value at first. A child might come across one in their change while buying candy, or a retiree might find one tucked away in an old jar of coins. Later, when examined by an expert or submitted for grading, the coin reveals its hidden worth, shocking its owner. The 1990 D quarter has been part of those surprise discoveries, making it a coin that holds both historical significance and the promise of unexpected fortune. Collectors often say that part of the joy of numismatics is the hunt. Searching through coins, studying them closely, learning their history, and uncovering their secrets is like being an explorer in uncharted territory. The 1990 D Washington quarter dollar represents one of those hidden gems that keeps the hunt alive. Even now, decades after it was first minted, people are still pulling these coins from circulation or storage and finding that they have something truly special. For those who want to begin searching, the best advice is to pay close attention to detail. Look for strong luster, sharp design elements, and any signs of doubling or unusual features. If a coin looks pristine, consider having it professionally graded, because the difference between a coin that sells for a few dollars and one that sells for thousands often comes down to grade. This coin, like so many others, proves that history is still alive in our pockets. Every quarter carries the story of the time and place it was made, but a few carry an added layer of mystery and value. The 1990 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar is one such coin, a reminder that even in the modern age, the smallest things can hold extraordinary worth. And for those who discover one of the rarest and finest examples, its value can reach an astonishing figure, with one known example selling for $45,387. In the world of American coinage, few coins capture the imagination of collectors quite like the Washington quarter. For many, these coins are simple pieces of change that pass through our hands every single day, unnoticed and underappreciated. Yet for those who take the time to study them closely, Washington quarters often hold secrets that can lead to astonishing discoveries. Today, we're going to explore one very specific coin, the 1990 quarter minted in Philadelphia, marked with the letter P. While to the casual observer it may appear ordinary, this coin has a fascinating story, and for collectors, its value can be truly extraordinary. Let us begin with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, created to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. Sculptor John Flanagan's portrait of the nation's first president was chosen, and the design has graced the quarter for decades. By the year 1990, this design had already been in circulation for nearly 60 years, and millions upon millions of coins had rolled out of the United States Mint. Yet, it is often in these high-production years that unusual and rare pieces slip through the cracks. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by the letter P, was responsible for producing hundreds of millions of quarters in 1990. When coins are struck in such massive quantities, there is always the chance of something unusual happening: errors in striking, planchet flaws, doubled dies, or small variations that make a coin stand out from the rest. And it is exactly these quirks of the minting process that fuel the passion of collectors, turning what might appear to be an ordinary coin into something that can command thousands of dollars at auction. So what makes the 1990 Washington quarter so interesting? For one, it sits in a transitional period of U.S. coinage. The late 1980s and early 1990s were years when the mint was using modernized equipment, but still occasionally produced errors that slipped past inspection. Quarters of this era are also among the most commonly hoarded coins today because they represent a bridge between older Washington quarters and the state quarters that would begin appearing at the end of the decade. One of the most notable aspects collectors look for in the 1990 quarter is its condition. While billions were produced, very few remain in pristine, untouched states. Circulated examples, the ones we pull from our pockets, are generally worth their face value. However, uncirculated coins, those preserved straight from mint rolls or coin bags, can carry significant premiums. The higher the grade, the greater the value. A 1990 quarter graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at mint state 65 or above becomes a true treasure to a collector. Another area of fascination lies in minting errors. Quarters from 1990 with the P mint mark have been discovered with misaligned strikes, clipped planchets, and even dramatic die cracks that run across George Washington's portrait. These coins tell a unique story. A clipped planchet, for example, happens when the blank metal disc is improperly cut from the sheet, leaving the coin with a crescent-shaped missing section. Instead of being discarded, such coins occasionally make it into circulation, and collectors scramble to own them because each one is unique. Doubled die errors are another spectacular find. These occur when the coin's design is accidentally imprinted twice at slightly different angles, giving the letters and numbers on the coin a shadowy, doubled appearance. Imagine holding a 1990 quarter and seeing the date, 1990, or the words, "In God We Trust," doubled. It's not just a mistake, it's a rarity that can command incredible prices when collectors compete for it. But beyond errors and condition, there is also the mystique of the hunt. Coin collectors are treasure hunters at heart. Every time a collector sifts through pocket change, rolls of quarters from the bank, or inherited jars of coins from a grandparent, the thrill lies in the possibility that among the ordinary, one might find the extraordinary. The 1990 quarter represents exactly that possibility. It's a coin that whispers to collectors, "Look closer, you might just have a fortune hiding in plain sight." Now, let's take a moment to talk about grading and why it matters so much. Professional coin grading has revolutionized the way collectors buy and sell coins. Two coins from 1990, both minted in Philadelphia, can look nearly identical to the naked eye. Yet under magnification, one may reveal tiny scratches or wear on Washington's cheek, while the other shines without a single blemish. The difference in grade could mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth thousands. Collectors who seek the best are often willing to pay astonishing sums for coins graded MS-67 or MS-68, especially when population reports show only a handful of such examples exist. This is why the 1990p Washington quarter has become such a desirable piece for serious collectors. Even though millions were minted, coins in superb condition are rare survivors. Time, circulation, and careless handling have destroyed most, but the few that remain pristine stand as glittering testaments to the art of preservation. Another fascinating aspect is the role of the mint mark itself. Prior to 1980, the Philadelphia Mint did not even use a mint mark on quarters. But by 1990, the small p on the obverse of the coin signified not only its origin but also gave collectors a way to track minting history. To the average spender, that tiny letter means nothing. But to a numismatist, it's an important clue to the story of the coin's birth. And then there's the human side of collecting. For many, the 1990p quarter might be the first find that sparked a lifelong passion. Perhaps someone pulled it from circulation, noticed something different about it, and began to wonder about coins in general. Coin collecting isn't just about monetary value, it's about history, artistry, and the joy of discovery. Each coin connects us to a specific moment in America's past, carrying with it the marks of time and the choices of the mint workers who produced it. Imagine, for a moment, a 1990 quarter in your hand. How many hands has it passed through? Did it ride in a child's pocket on the way to buy a piece of candy 30 years ago? Did it slip into a vending machine at a movie theater? Or has it lain untouched for decades, forgotten in a jar, until finally rediscovered by someone who sees not just a coin, but a piece of American history? The market for rare coins has only grown stronger in recent years. Collectors are willing to pay significant amounts for examples of coins that appear flawless or showcase dramatic mint errors. And while most 1990p quarters are worth only their face value, there are those special specimens that rise above the ordinary and achieve remarkable prices at auction. It is important to note, though, that coin values are not static. They fluctuate depending on collector demand, the number of high-grade coins available, and even trends in the hobby. What might seem modest today can skyrocket tomorrow if interest in a particular coin surges. This is part of what makes numismatics such a dynamic and exciting pursuit. It is not just about money, but about watching history and human fascination unfold in real time. As we bring this journey through the 1990p Washington quarter to a close, let us remember what makes it special. It is not simply the fact that it was struck in vast numbers in Philadelphia. It is the mystery of the few that survive in perfect condition. It is the drama of the errors that slip through the mint's watchful eyes. It is the thrill of the hunt for collectors who dream of finding treasure and their change. And of course, it is the knowledge that among these coins, there are rare examples that have reached astonishing values in the marketplace. So the next time you hold a quarter, take a closer look. That tiny disc of metal might be more than just 25 cents. It could be a key to history, a piece of art, and perhaps, if you are lucky, a hidden fortune. And in the case of the 1990p Washington quarter, some of those hidden fortunes have been realized, with one remarkable specimen selling for the astounding price of $34,557. In the world of coin collecting, not every treasure is hidden away in dusty old chests or buried beneath centuries of history. Sometimes, the most extraordinary finds are resting quietly in our very own pockets, waiting to be recognized by a sharp eye and an eager heart. Such is the case with the humble Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin so common in appearance that most people pass it from hand to hand every day without a second thought. Yet, every once in a while, a particular issue or year of this iconic coin proves to be far more special than its face value would suggest. One such remarkable piece is the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it seems ordinary, like any other copper-coated zinc coin you might find at the bottom of a change jar. But behind this coin lies a fascinating story that touches on American history, minting technology, collector passion, and the thrill of discovering value where few would expect it. To truly appreciate the significance of the 2003 penny, we must go back in time to the origins of the Lincoln cent. First struck in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure of liberty. The coin immediately captured the hearts of the American people, who admired Lincoln as a symbol of freedom, resilience, and leadership during one of the most turbulent eras in U.S. history. The design created by Victor David Brenner featured a bold profile of Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse carried the simple but dignified wheat stalks, signifying America's agricultural strength. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny would evolve, replacing the wheat design in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial, and later undergoing compositional changes. Initially made of 95% copper, the coin shifted in 1982 to a primarily zinc core with only a thin copper coating. This change was driven by rising copper prices, showing just how much the smallest denomination of American currency was shaped by economic realities. By the time 2003 arrived, the penny had been through nearly a century of adjustments, yet its place in American culture remained unshaken. The 2003 no-mint mark penny in particular was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins from Philadelphia traditionally carry no mint mark, unlike those produced in Denver or San Francisco. To the casual observer, a no mint mark might not seem unusual, but for collectors, the difference can make all the impact. Certain years and conditions make these pennies especially desirable, and the 2003 Philadelphia strike is one of those cases. What makes the 2003 penny stand out is not just the absence of a mint mark, but also the quality of the strike, the variations in production, and the condition in which some of these coins have been preserved. While billions were produced, only a small fraction remain in pristine, gem-quality condition. These are the coins that capture the attention of serious numismatists. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A penny that has circulated in commerce, been scratched, or lost its luster may be worth only its face value. But one that has been carefully preserved since its minting, retaining its original shine and flawless surfaces, can fetch surprising sums. Collectors look for details like strong, sharp edges, a clean and bold strike of Lincoln's profile, and the absence of blemishes or discoloration. Under magnification, the lettering should appear crisp, and the fields, the flat areas of the coin, should be smooth and reflective. Coins that meet these criteria are graded on a professional scale, ranging from about uncirculated to mint state, with higher grades bringing higher values. But the story doesn't end with condition alone. The 2003 penny is also known to have a few intriguing varieties and errors, which fuel collector interest. Mint errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or plating issues, can make a coin incredibly rare. Imagine finding a penny where Lincoln's profile is slightly doubled, or where the reverse appears misaligned. These imperfections, born from the high-speed minting process, transform ordinary coins into numismatic wonders. For the 2003 penny, such errors exist, and when found in high grade, they can command impressive premiums. What's especially fascinating is how ordinary people, not just seasoned collectors, have stumbled upon these valuable coins in circulation. Stories abound of individuals sorting through their change jars, only to notice that one penny looked just a little too perfect. Others discovered error coins in rolls purchased directly from banks. These discoveries remind us that the thrill of treasure hunting is alive and well, and it can begin with something as simple as examining the coins in your pocket. The 2003 penny also serves as a snapshot of its era. In the early 2000s, America was navigating a changing economic landscape. The internet boom was transforming society, technology was advancing rapidly, and yet, the 1-cent coin remained steadfast, a link to over a century of tradition. Holding one of these pennies in your hand connects you not only to Abraham Lincoln's enduring legacy but also to a moment in American history when the world was shifting in new and profound ways. Another aspect that makes coins like the 2003 penny so captivating is the community that surrounds them. Numismatics is not just about metal and mint marks, it's about people. Collectors gather at coin shows, trade stories online, and eagerly share knowledge about new finds. The discovery of a high-value penny often makes headlines in collector circles, sparking renewed interest in that particular issue. The 2003 no-mint mark penny has gained such attention precisely because of its potential to surprise. For many, the allure lies not only in the monetary value but in the history, rarity, and personal connection to a timeless symbol of America. Think about it this way: every coin has a journey. The 2003 penny may have been minted in Philadelphia, shipped out in bags to banks, handed out as change at a diner, dropped into a child's piggy bank, or forgotten in a drawer for years. Each coin carries with it the invisible fingerprints of countless lives, moments, and transactions. But among these millions of stories, a few coins stand apart, preserved in ways that elevate them from everyday currency to prized collectible. Collectors often say that coin hunting is a mix of art, science, and luck. The science lies in understanding minting processes, composition, and grading standards. The art is in appreciating the beauty of a well-struck coin, the gleam of its surface, and the precision of its design. And the luck, of course, comes in finding one of these hidden gems in an unexpected place. The 2003 penny exemplifies this balance perfectly. Now imagine the excitement of sending one of these coins for professional grading and discovering that it ranks among the highest on the scale. Such a coin could command a price that far exceeds what most people would ever dream of paying for a penny. It becomes more than money, it becomes a piece of history, a work of art, and a conversation piece all rolled into one. The value of coins like the 2003 penny also speaks to something deeper about human nature, our desire to preserve, to remember, and to find meaning in small details. While some may dismiss the penny as insignificant, collectors know that every coin has a story worth telling. And sometimes those stories turn out to be worth far more than a single cent. So, if you happen to have a handful of change nearby, take a moment to look closely. That dull copper coin you've overlooked might just be a hidden treasure. Who knows? Perhaps you hold in your hand a 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in stunning condition, a coin that has quietly traveled through time, waiting for someone like you to recognize its true worth. After all, in the vast and fascinating world of numismatics, treasures are often found where we least expect them. And when it comes to the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, some of these treasures have amazed collectors by being valued as high as $15,388. Welcome back to World Information HD, where we dive deep into the hidden treasures of American history through the coins that many of us have in our pockets, drawers, or coin jars at home. Today's journey takes us into the world of the United States of America 1-cent coin, better known as the Lincoln penny, and we'll focus on a very interesting and sometimes overlooked piece: the 2008 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, at first glance, this penny doesn't look much different from the billions of others produced by the United States Mint. It carries the same familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, gazing to the right with that thoughtful and determined expression. The word Liberty sits to the left of his portrait, the date 2008 is displayed clearly on the right, and above his head we read the words, "In God We Trust." On the reverse side, we see the enduring image of the Lincoln Memorial, a design that has been an iconic part of American coinage for decades. But beneath that everyday appearance lies a fascinating story of coinage, history, and collecting. The 2008 penny was minted during a transitional time. Just 1 year later, in 2009, the United States Mint released 4 different reverse designs to honor the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent itself. This means that 2008 stands as the final full year of the classic Lincoln Memorial design that had graced the penny since 1959. In other words, the 2008 penny is the last chapter of a long-running series before the design changed forever. Collectors love coins that represent turning points, endings, or beginnings, and that is exactly what makes the 2008 issue especially important. Even though it was minted in very large numbers, it carries the historical weight of being the last, regular issue, before the bicentennial redesign, giving it a certain charm that goes far beyond face value. Let's explore this coin from a collector's perspective. The no mint mark detail means that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins produced in Denver, which bear a D mint mark, or in San Francisco with an S. Coins from Philadelphia typically carry no mark at all. So when you hold a 2008 penny with no mint mark, you are holding a piece made in Philadelphia. Collectors pay attention to this detail, because the mint of origin can sometimes influence rarity, mintage numbers, and value. For the 2008 penny, the mintage was huge. Billions were made, and that means most of them will forever remain worth just 1 cent. But here is where the magic of coin collecting comes into play. Not all coins are created equal. The difference in value comes down to condition, rarity of variations, and sometimes simple human error at the mint. For example, some 2008 pennies have been discovered with errors like doubled dies, off-center strikes, or weak strikes. These error coins can fetch a premium far higher than their face value because collectors love pieces that stand out from the ordinary. Imagine finding a coin where Lincoln's profile looks doubled, or the words on the reverse are slightly distorted. These tiny mistakes, invisible to most, can turn a penny into a small fortune. Condition also plays a massive role. Coin collectors use a grading scale to evaluate coins, ranging from good and fine all the way up to mint state, or proof. A coin that has circulated heavily, showing scratches, dull surfaces, and worn lettering, might never be worth more than a few cents. But a coin preserved in pristine condition, with full luster and no marks, can be valued at many dollars, sometimes even hundreds. For the 2008 penny, the highest graded examples are what collectors chase. Some of these pieces, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, are slabbed in protective cases with a grade label, and those examples can trade hands at auctions for impressive sums. Beyond errors and condition, there's also the collector's emotional connection. For many Americans, the Lincoln cent has always been a symbol of everyday life. Think about how many times you've held one, tossed it in a change jar, or found one on the sidewalk. The penny has a way of sticking around in our memories. Some people remember their first penny given as a child, others save them in jars as good luck, and coin collectors see them as the perfect gateway into the larger world of numismatics. When you look at the 2008 penny, you're not just holding a piece of copper-plated zinc, you're holding the conclusion of a design that spanned half a century. From 1959 to 2008, the Lincoln Memorial Reverse stood as a tribute to the president who guided America through its darkest hour and preserved the Union. Millions of children visited Washington, D.C. and saw the real memorial in person, then carried a miniature version of it in their pockets every day. That design became so familiar that most people forgot it was there, until it was gone. In 2009, when the Mint released the 4 special bicentennial reverses, collectors suddenly realized how special the 2008 coin had been. It was the end of an era, and like the last book in a long series, it now carries a sense of completion. Collectors who want to build a full set of Lincoln Memorial cents, from the first year in 1959 to the last in 2008, must have this coin to finish their collection. And that demand gives the coin additional importance in the marketplace. Now let's touch on the materials. The Lincoln penny has gone through several changes over the decades. For much of its history, it was struck in bronze, a mixture of copper, tin, and zinc. But starting in 1982, the composition shifted dramatically due to the rising cost of copper. The Mint began producing pennies out of copper-plated zinc, just a thin layer of copper over a core of zinc. This is the same composition used for the 2008 penny. While it might not feel heavy like its older bronze cousins, it still carries the same familiar look. Collectors who specialize in modern coinage know that while the intrinsic metal value is not high, the collectible value can skyrocket under the right conditions. When talking about value, it's also worth noting that millions of people overlook modern pennies. They see them as too common, too ordinary, too insignificant. But that's where the opportunity lies. Imagine the number of 2008 pennies sitting in drawers, jars, or circulation right now. Most people will never look closely at them, but for those who do, there is always the chance of discovering a rare error, a gem-quality specimen, or even just the thrill of holding a piece of history in their hand. Coin shows and online auctions regularly feature Lincoln cents, including modern issues like the 2008. Some collectors focus on assembling full rolls of uncirculated examples, while others hunt for that one flawless coin with a perfect strike and bright luster. The competition can be intense, and the excitement of winning a rare piece is part of the joy of coin collecting. So, how much can one of these coins be worth? That depends entirely on the details. As mentioned, billions exist, and most are worth just a cent. But the special ones, the coins in top condition, the coins with unique errors, the coins that catch the eye of a serious collector, can bring impressive sums. And now, we come to the figure you've been waiting for. Among the 2008 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent pennies, one exceptional example, graded and preserved in nearly perfect condition, has reached the astonishing value of $12,366.